ball.
Yeah, he just, his strength overall, he came out aggressively. You know, Boston's the best defensive team in the league, and they provided enough bodies in front of him. He just plays through the contact, and he did it again in the first half this one.
He was doing his thing, then he was finding open men. That's Bobby Portis, who's starting now. He had 15.
Yeah, and I put the number at 12 to 15 made threes per night they have to have, and they made 9 in the first half.
And look at Giannis there with the block on Jason Tatum. Milwaukee a 10-point lead at halftime, and then just too much Giannis in the fourth quarter. He would score 24.
Yeah, if you don't bring bodies now, he'll just take his time, and this is something he's added to his game. The turnaround, step back jumper, the turnaround jumper in the post, the finesse component is there for him.
Drew Holiday in transition. He had 25. Brad Stevens has to catch a train. 6.5 to go. Bucks up 14. Watch this. This is a playoff game. Giannis throws it off the glass to him. Oh, are you serious? Can you believe he did that in a playoff game?
In any game, much less a playoff game. That's something you typically see in an all-star game. Giannis does it at the most important time of the season.
Bucks with a resounding game one. Jaylen Brown, what the actual heck happened?
We got to be the harder playing team. And tonight they had a chip on their shoulder. They came in with an edge. They were locked in, and they punched us in the mouth.
They punched them in the mouth. And, Wendy, you had in our call this morning a fascinating explanation of the reason why.
They were not ready for this Bucks team after playing the Nets for a week. I know that Nets series was a lot of high-level playmaking. I'm not going to take that away. But the Nets just don't play defense anywhere near in the league of the Milwaukee Bucks. Ime Udoka, the Celtics coach, said that he felt his team was caught off guard. Jaylen Brown, who had 7 turnovers in this game, 7 turnovers, said they surprised them. The Celtics had a scouting report. They know the personnel. They know what they were playing. But the actual act of playing against the Bucks and the way that they play defense versus the way they had gotten comfortable with playing the Nets, where everything was much easier. And without Chris Middleton, the Bucks are playing huge. With Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, and Giannis, it's one of the biggest lineups you'll see in the NBA today. In the 75-year history of the Celtics franchise, they've never made as few two-point baskets. They made 10 as they did in this game. A huge advantage for the Bucks to get game one.
I think that is a factor here. Look, Middleton is a great player. He's their second-best player, and somewhere along the line they will miss him. But he just pointed out, those 3 guys are starting in the front line. They're enormous, and that clearly was a factor last night.
At one point in the game, Boston had taken 49 threes and 29 twos. That's directly correlated to Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo being in the paint, and then Bobby Portis even out there at the same time. So what you're looking at visually, if you're Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, there just doesn't look like there's any room back there to get to the rim, so you end up settling for threes. I just thought Milwaukee did a great job of using Boston's overreaction at times to the paint defensively against them. Brooklyn couldn't do it because they don't have the three-point shooting. The Bucks have a stable of guys that can hurt you, and they all did it yesterday. Connaughton, Grayson Allen, Drew Holiday, Bobby Portis. Brook Lopez didn't even get invited to the party from the three-point line. That's going to come too. For me, that's going to be the biggest differentiating factor between these two teams. You want to load up on Giannis? First of all, he's still going to do his thing because he's so strong. But more importantly, he's going to beat you now as a passer because of all the shooting around him.
But you guys stay close here. I'm going to get to my football guys, but later in this hour, we'll talk about what the Celtics can do to sort of turn this thing back. Plus, we'll look ahead to tonight's games. All that is coming. But let's get to the...
Just 2-2 games. I mean, Keyshawn, just stay out of my man's way. That's all I would say.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back.
Keyshawn, J. Willimax, ESPN Radio, Sirius XM Channel 80, and your smart speakers were presented by Progressive Insurance. Jay, it shocked me when you, listen, if you can get all the way back, that's an amazing accomplishment. How long has it been?
Well, how long has it been? 15 years?
15 years?
15 years.
What's the matter with you? Why do you want to come back?
Because I'm crazy. You know Key and I are always crazy, doing crazy stuff.
No, yeah. Key ain't crazy because Key ain't coming back.
Well, I mean, in your sport, you got to be legit crazy. Anyway, listen, at first I thought, wait, is this flying under the radar? This hasn't been picked up like by more media? Here's more from Jeremy Schaap.
There are comebacks, and then there are comebacks. Richard Nixon lost the presidential election in 1960, and then the California governor's race in 1962, after which Nixon famously said, "You don't have Nixon to kick around anymore." But in 1968, Nixon won the presidency. Now that's a comeback. In the early morning hours of October 30th, 1974 in Kinshasa, Zaire, George Foreman lost the World Heavyweight Championship to one Muhammad Ali. But then, 20 years and 5 days later, at the age of 45, Foreman took back the title. Now that's a comeback. And so is this.
After deep contemplation over years and years after my retirement from the NBA, I've decided to take my talents to the streets of the South Street Seaport in New York. It is time. I've been going through physical therapy for a very long time. I've been working on my ball handling. I've been going through a lot of mental awareness around my body and my strengths and my weaknesses. And I just feel like with one of the best teammates to ever play the game of football and basketball, Keyshawn Joseph Johnson, that it is time for me to finally step back onto the hardwood or the street court, whatever you want to call it, and make myself known that I am here and I am ready to be the best version of me on the court. I am officially back.
Like Richard Nixon, like George Foreman, Jay Williams is returning to the arena. An All-American at Duke, the second overall selection in the 2002 NBA draft, Williams was poised for NBA stardom. And then the motorcycle crash that changed everything. But now, 19 years later, Williams is back. A fiery competitor with unfinished business. A legend of the hardwood. Eager to prove he can still get it done. Into the maw of competition, he's hurled himself, risking so much. His foes counting on rustiness, but wary of his abilities. Yes, there have been previous monumental comebacks. But this is different. More than a comeback, this is a rebirth.
Oh, excellent stuff, as always, from the great Jeremy Schaap. You have, Jay, your work cut out to you. It's not easy to get all the way back, you know? And but you know, my hat's off to you for trying.
Thank you, Max.
You have a big obstacle in front of you. 6'5", Alan Hahn. Not to mention Bart Scott.
Yeah, I rather than not show my NBA career.
We're going to have to get that field goal percentage.
Yeah, there's a lot, key, detail, triangle. That's fine.
By the way, 39.9. You
all right,
put
Doc
40%.
Rivers Jr., I hear
You
you.
can't round up to 40. They had to get the 30 showing up.
I hear you, Doc Rivers Jr.
Oh,
Damn triangle. Let me
Doc
point.
Rivers. It's not me, it's you.
Brian Windhorst, ESPN NBA insider, joins us now. What do you think of Jay Will's comeback, Wendy?
I was at Jay Will's last college game. He almost made one of the greatest plays in college basketball history in his last moments of his college game. Jay, I think you can do it, man. I believe you.
Wendy, I'm going to need you, Wendy. I'm going to need your reporting. I'm going to need your effort. I'm going to need you to be there. Wendy, I'm just going for attendance.
Don't count on me for anything.
I need Wendy for the positive support.
Don't try to sweet talk the media. Wendy will remain objective.
His voice echoes throughout all media. I need his support.
Jay, Wendy, meantime, what's your biggest takeaway from the Bucks and the Celtics game one?
I think I should get bonus points for bringing up the Brooklyn Nets because we thought we had retired them from a content machine. But that's what I was thinking. I'm here in Boston. I was at the game yesterday. And I know that the Celtics are very well aware of the personnel of the Bucks. They know them. They've played them many times. I know they had a scouting report that they went over. But when they actually got out there on the court with them and they had to deal with the defensive intensity switch from playing Brooklyn for a week and then playing Milwaukee. And not to mention that without Chris Middleton, the Bucks have elected to just go super big. They start Bobby Portis alongside Giannis and Brook Lopez. Nobody plays like that anymore. It's just unheard of. And the Celtics were shell-shocked. They went in there and passes that they were easily able to throw against every other team, but particularly the Nets. They just couldn't get it. There were balls getting deflected all over the place. They had like 8 or 9 turnovers in the second quarter alone. And you could just tell they were uncomfortable. And all I got to tell you is this about the size and the difficulty that they had inside. In the 75-year history of the Celtics franchise, the storied history, all those games, all those playoff games, they never made as few two-point baskets as they did in that game 1 on Sunday because they got tired of going in there, had no success. They just chucked 3-pointers, which is exactly what the Bucks wanted them to do. I have no doubt they'll recalibrate, but it was an eye-opener stepping up in class from the way the Nets play defense to the way the Bucks do.
Wendy, let's go ahead and bring Brooklyn back into this thing just like you did because it was fascinating for me. I'm watching Giannis, and Giannis didn't have a great game, even though he did have a triple-double, right? I mean, 24 points on 25 shots, 13 rebounds, 12 assists. But the physical dominance of Giannis. And I know when people get into basketball minds, you go to the best player in the world, that always equates to skill set, Wendy. But watching the way Boston threw multiple people at Kevin Durant, even though I think Kevin Durant's skill set is better than Giannis's, the physicality and the mindset seemed like it was just lacking to a degree, right? But when I watched Giannis, it didn't matter if it was Grant Williams. He threw Jason Tatum to the damn ground. Jaylen Brown, it didn't matter who they put on him. He was physically imposing his will every possession. That's why I think he's the best player in basketball.
Yeah, so, I mean, to be clear, the Nets series was an incredibly high level of playmaking. The Nets were making a lot of plays. They just weren't defending, just to be clear. It wasn't that the Nets were pushovers, it's just completely different. When you play against Kevin Durant, his skill is jaw-dropping. The way he makes shots under certain circumstances, you just throw your hands up. Giannis hits you like a freight train. And there were a couple of possessions yesterday. There was one in particular